Okay, you guys, I hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. Last day of your weekend, you're watching your football games. I'm got mine. I'm going to watch mine later. But Snoop dropped this on, I believe, the 13th, 19th, sometime mid-month, about a week ago. He's featuring Slick Rick on it. It's called So Misinformed. I'm interested. I want to hear what he has to say. I always want to hear what he has to say because he's an OG and he's got some wisdom. So let's just get it.
I would like to say to this gentleman and all other people who are not blessed with melanin at this point in time, to understand that what has happened in our history is that you have been misinformed as much as we have been misinformed. Much of the information that is brought forth, not only from Dr. Muhammad, but other areas, other scholars, are not available to you, as a sister said, in your curriculums that you have for 400 years when you did not allow us to read and write and was being hidden. Whether you, sir, personally did that or not, it was a legacy that was passed on to you. And I end by saying the Holocaust is simply the greatest atrocity on film. Ours was not film.
No apology, equality. Youth is future, let's move forward. Healthy mentality helps sanity. Melting pot, help us up, alternate. Facts had backwards and inaccurate. Tell folks no backing up, tracking up. Good over evil, deceitful. Morals, principles, it's simple.
What will it take to get my peoples to connect together? You know it's black excellence, 2 feet compete together. Picture a photograph where black folks live together in high definition, and how I would never turn my back on the block. I got the black on my back like James Brown. Boy, I'm proud to be black to all my sisters.
Mother Earth has birthed us, nurtures, it hurts us first, misheard.
To all my sisters, ain't no knocking your back. Politicians politicking with the gown and the cap. The house got flavor and I like it like that. Black girl power, yeah, I'm rocking with that. Those is getting kicked down, statues is getting ripped down. Presidents meeting overseas just to have a sit down. They trying to keep us from running up. I never tell you to get down, it's all about coming up.
No apology, equality. Youth is future, let's move forward. Healthy mentality helps sanity. Melting pot, help us up, alternate. Facts had backwards and inaccurate. Tell folks no backing up, tracking up. Good over evil, deceitful. Morals, principles, it's simple, son.
So what are you saying? The foundation was laid, y'all nation was made off our ancestors back in the days. 400 years ago, y'all made us slaves, and you can hear it in the spirit coming deep from the graves. Life is a maze. Smoke so much dope, you want a day. But you ain't tripping, you getting paid. But who do you praise? But anyway, I read a history book, but I ain't learned nothing, dawg. So I read the Bible, then the Holy Quran. Went to Jamaica to acquire my knowledge. Sat with some rosters till my game got polished. The gang bang extreme with malice. Trees and degrees like I'm trained for college. Yeah, they try to keep us from running up. I never tell you to get down, it's all about coming up.
No apology, equality. Youth is future, let's move forward. Healthy mentality helps sanity. Melting pot, help us up, alternate. Facts had backwards and inaccurate. Tell folks no backing up, tracking up. Good over evil, deceitful. Morals, principles, it's simple, son.
It's a shame that our fathers and mothers are killed and we can't even see them anymore. It's a shame that we have to go to the graveyard and bury them.
Oh, baby girl.
And we have tears. We shouldn't have tears. We need our fathers and mothers to be by our side.
Yes. Okay, so I'm not going to say a lot, but what I am going to say is this. He's right. The history books and that woman was right in the beginning. Look, I feel the same way about our history books as I do our Bible, and I'm sorry. Look, I've pulled it down before. I own a Bible. I've read it several times, cover to cover. To me, the Bible, it's written by man, and it was written, what, 400 years after the death of Jesus? So to me, it's not even written by the people who were there around him. And I don't know if you ever play that game where you sit in a circle and you start off a sentence, and by the time it gets around back to the circle, it's a completely different sentence. So I don't put a lot of stock in it. I look at it as a book that it has stories in it, and they're good. It's a good learning tool to live by. But do I look at it as actual fact? No. Why? Because Jesus didn't write it by his own hand. God didn't write it by his own hand. And none of the apostles wrote it by their own hand. That's my opinion. As far as history books go, I feel the same way. Look, I have a grandmother. She came over here during World War II. She's from England. And I remember as a young teenager when I was we had a conversation about the Revolutionary War. We have two totally different takes on the Revolutionary War. Her take is that, well, my take obviously is that we won the Revolutionary War because we beat England back and they left. Obviously, we won the war. And we gained our independence from England, and in doing so, became the United States. Her take on it is that they basically just left us because we were nothing but indentured servants and criminals, and who cares, and they were too busy fighting the French in England, and they didn't want to worry about us anymore, waste their resources, so they just left. That's what's in their history books. And of course, their history books are not going to say the same thing that our history books are going to say. I didn't want to bring up to my grandmother that the French were also, if they were fighting the French over there, which they might very well have been, the French were also over here in Canada with the Mohawk Indians coming down and helping us fight them here. But whatever. She was my grandmother. I loved her. She was a little kooky, but the point that it did prove was that history always depends on what side of the history book that you're on, the story. And slavery is the same way. And I think looking back, I mean, I'm only first generation on one side and second generation on the other in this country, but anything that I know about slavery or about any of that, I learned from my family. There was nothing in the history books about my culture. Anything about my culture, I learned from my family. And then how much do they know? I mean, you want to think that our family legacy has been passed down, but how much did they learn? Or how much do they really know as fact and has been able to pass down? And that's sad. And I think that's what he was pointing out, is that how much of our legacy do we really know? I mean, yes, we know that we were brought over by as slaves, but do we know beyond that? Do we know any of our history beyond that? where did we come from? She made a good point as well when she said the Holocaust was the single most like horrific crime against humanity on film that was actually documented on film. But what has been done to the African American community hasn't, it wasn't documented that way. It wasn't put on film. Number one, because back then there was no such thing as film and cameras and everything. But number two, it's always been very sneaky, and it's always been very behind closed doors. It's like everybody knew. I mean, even I'm talking about going into the 50s, 60s, they were still lynching people in Mississippi, and people acted like it was an okay thing to do, when it was very much not an okay thing to do. I love that he did the song. I love that number one, that he held up African American women and African American women in power, positions of power and dominance, and boss positions. Thank you. We deserve that. I mean, it's taken a long time. For African American women are, I think I did another video once. What video was it that I did? It was Beyonce's video. It's like the most disrespected, underestimated, it's nice to see African American women, for once, held up for the worth and glorified. But also, he's basically saying, we all need to stand up and stick together and be together, and it's what I've been saying this whole damn time. Everybody, and I'm not just talking about everyone in the African American community, I'm talking about everyone in general, but in this video, basically, he's saying, we all need to stand up, and how can I get all of my brothers and sisters together on the same page on this? I said I wasn't going to talk long in here. I'm talking long. This video is going to take me forever to edit. But at any rate, I love it. I love it. That's all I got to say. You guys have a fantastic Sunday. This is my last video for today. But have a great Sunday. And comment, like, and subscribe. And what else? Take care of each other, because no one else is going to. Ciao.